It was Christmas on the island of Sodor, and all the engines were working hard. Thomas and Toby were busy carrying people and parcels up and down the branch line. Everyone was happy. Only the coaches, Annie and Clarabel, were complaining. "It's always the same before Christmas," they groaned. "We feel so full, we feel so full."
"Oh, come on, girls,"
said Thomas.
"Where's your festive spirit? Christmas Day is almost here."
By the side of the track was a little cottage with a familiar figure waving to them.
"It's Mrs. Kindley,"
whistled Thomas.
"Hip hip, Happy Christmas."
Thomas always felt better for seeing her.
Christmas wouldn't be Christmas without Mrs. Kindley.
When work was over, Thomas went to see the other engines. All their coats had been polished, said Gordon.
"Just look at us! Your driver will have to work really fast just to get you as smart as us."
"Never mind that, guys,"
replied Thomas.
"I have something important to say. Do you realise it's been a whole year since Mrs. Kindley saved us from a nasty accident? You remember when she was in bed and..."
"Yes,"
interrupted Edward.
"told us that Mrs. Kindley used her red dressing gown to stop you from hitting an avalanche, Thomas, last year."
"And you and Toby gave her presents," Percy joined in. "And the Fat Controller sent her to Bournemouth to get better. The rest of us have never thanked her properly,"
"Exactly,"
said Thomas.
"So now I think we should all give her a special party."
Everyone was getting very excited, and the drivers felt sure the Fat Controller would agree, as indeed he did. The engines were busy making plans when silence fell. The Fat Controller had bad news.
"The weather's changed subtly. Miss Kindley is snowed up. Toby says he'll help to rescue her. You must help too, Thomas. There's no party unless you do."
Thomas hated snow, but he said bravely,
"I'll try, sir. We must rescue her. We must."
"There's a good engine. You and Toby run this one."
Thomas charged the snowdrifts fiercely. Sometimes he swept them aside, sometimes they stuck fast, and the men had to loosen them. But at the cutting near the cottage, they could go no further.
"Look at that!"
exclaimed Thomas's fireman.
"Beep, beep, beep. We're here."
Whistled Thomas. An answering wave came from an upstairs window. Then they heard a familiar sound.
"That's Terence,"
said Thomas.
"Come to help too."
Sure enough, Terence had a snowplough and was working hard to clear a patch to the railway line to safety. At long last, the rescue was complete. Percy took the tired workmen home. Terence said goodbye to Mrs. Kindley and promised to take care of her cottage as he watched them all set off. The engines made good time. No more snow had fallen, but the yard was dark. Thomas's heart sank. Suddenly all the lights went on. What a marvellous sight awaited Mrs. Kindley,
"Well done,"
said the Fat Controller. Mrs. Kindley especially thanked the smaller engines.
"Thomas and Toby are my old friends.
She said.
Percy is my new friend."
Percy was very pleased. "Three cheers for Mrs. Kindley," he called. "Peep, peep, peep, peep," they all whistled. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thomas the Tank Engine and his friends thought it was the best Christmas ever, and Mrs. Kindley could think of nowhere she'd rather live than here with them on the island of Sodor.